The original film was a dramatic film. It was done taking the facts that we knew at the time and condensing them and making it into a dramatic feature film, which is very difficult considering all the details and the complexity of the film. Is this being translated? Yes. Okay. Fine. Okay. So after 1991, tremendous furor, and of course there was it was quite a difficult number to get this in front of Congress. And there was such an uproar that Congress finally paid some attention and passed the JFK Records Act, which allowed for the creation of call it a third investigation of the murder. It had been the House Select Committee, of course the Warren Commission was the first one, second one the House Select Committee, third one was the film called the Assassination Records Review Board. They did good work from 1994 to 1998. They didn't have enough money, and they didn't have enough time, but they did get out 60,000 documents, 60,000 declassifications, which is very serious, but they didn't get all the way because they were blocked repeatedly. The CIA and Secret Service destroyed 2 sets of files, 2 sets of boxes about the trip Kennedy took in November to Florida and the trip to Chicago. They were destroyed. So it's been, from the beginning, it's been a tough case to get facts. There are still, to this day, they were supposed to release everything, but they held back and they said, okay, we'll release the rest on 2017. And that happened. Trump was president. He said, go ahead, release everything. Last second, Trump said, oh, hold on, wait a second here. The FBI and the CIA talked to him, and they apparently sobered him to the fact that he couldn't release everything. So he held back. And then he held back for 3 years, from 2017 to 2020. And he was supposed to release everything on, he made an adjustment in the schedule, and that everything is supposed to be released on October 26th of this year, which is what, tomorrow or next week. So I doubt that anything is going to happen, but there is a new president, Joseph Biden, and he's Irish and he's Catholic, and hopefully he has some memory of Kennedy. So we hope always that he will release the remaining estimated 20,000 documents. Actually, they didn't do a bad job at all because they had power. In those days, they didn't have small telephone cameras. There was no, the media that you have today is overwhelming. It would come out right away. There were so many leaks. A cell phone would have been very helpful in the plaza on that day. Also, you have to realize everything was structured so the Warren Commission took control of this thing from the get-go. Washington took control. LBJ, Lyndon Johnson, took control. The evidence should have been, the body should have been held in Dallas, and the autopsy should have been done in Dallas. That was the rule. But they moved everything, and they militarized everything right away. The autopsy was done at Bethesda with a team of amateurs, basically. They were not the best autopsists in the world. So from the get-go, there was a lot of confusion. The military took control of the autopsy, which was a botch, and it didn't match what the eyewitnesses saw in Dallas. You asked, your question is a bit vague, so why didn't, they couldn't get away with this today, but those people in power, and I have to say, they didn't know that the civilian population could get so upset when it was sealed shut. I mean, the fact that Oswald was killed right away brought tremendous doubt into everybody's mind. And you know that that's never been answered, it's never been secured. Jack Ruby killing Oswald, when you just look at the Jack Ruby background, you know right away you have a witness list of all the underworld of America. Never did anything. They didn't know about it. They didn't admit it at that time. The facts about Jack Ruby and Oswald came out years later. And in the declassification that occurred after my film, we know more about Ruby, we know more about Oswald, We know more about everything, in fact, about the military files too. So you have to define for me what we learned in 1979 at the House Select Committee, because they buried a lot of stuff, and then what we learned later from the Assassination Records Review Board. And you can ask me what I can tell you, but I obviously am not an expert like my scenarist, who is Jim DiEugenio. He's written about it in detail. He has a blog called Kennedy and King. You can go there to hear about it in detail. But I would try to answer any of your questions specifically. You know, one of the most important things is the declassification of the autopsy material. It's very clear now, because we know what Malcolm Perry, the doctor, the lead doctor at Dallas, said, that the shot came from the front. We know that from what happened in the film. You see the confession by Dr. Perry, who was scared to death. Said he knew the first shot came, not the first shot, we just know it was shot. We think it's the first shot. Came from the front, in the throat. That's never been. Everyone's felt really strange about that from the beginning. Then there's, of course, the question of the headshot, the kill shot, which is, as you saw the film, back and to the left, indicating a shot from the front. All those witnesses that saw the body at Bethesda and at Dallas, there's 40 or 50 of them, I forget exactly. They saw a large gaping rear head wound, which indicates a shot from the front. Another shot that is in question is, of course, the shot in the back. That crazy single bullet shot. They got stuck on that one, and it's in the film. You saw anybody who knows what's going on can say that it's a crazy bullet. It's a single bullet that jumps around and does all these things. That's because they didn't have any other shots left. They claimed early that there were 3 shots. It was more than 3 shots. People in the motorcade heard more than 3. The World War II veterans were there. Thought it was an ambush, an ambuscade of fire. Maybe 4, 5, 6 shots. That was heard by a lot of people. That was ignored because they held themselves to 3 shots. They put themselves in the hole. That kind of stuff all over the place. It's a constant infiltration of facts come through. As I said earlier, Oswald and Ruby are fingerprints of intelligence are all over them. And it's very disturbing that no one in our government has the guts to really bring this up and do anything about it, because everyone's scared. They're scared of the media. The moment you open your mouth about this thing in American media, you're outed. You're treated like a nutcase. And this has been going on for 60 years. It's a shame, and I repeat, the American media is either lazy, but I believe complicit in this thing.